If your goal is to go pro in Fortnite, you have to understand the differences between you, an average player, and the pro players. A lot of these differences you will not even realise, and you will not get to know unless you are told them. That's why I've researched and gathered the 20 most useful things pros do that you do not. And I'll bring you all of these right now. The first thing pros do is repetitions. If you're camping on height or camping to reach Unreal in ranked, then you just aren't going to improve. Pros know that if they want to improve, they have to get themselves in as many different situations as many times as possible. You need to understand that if you want to improve, you need to get yourself fighting as many different players as possible. Playing aggressive and fighting everyone you see in ranked is a must if you even want to become average at this game, let alone reach pro level. Fighting unique player styles over and over again is the only way to improve your fighting ability, which is incredibly important in a game like Fortnite. Something that is also greatly important is map switching. This skill is incredibly overlooked. However, nearly all pros have mastered this. You need to know what material to use in each different situation. For example, if you are building temporarily and do not plan to stay in that situation, you would use wood. If you are building while getting pressured, you would use metal, as this spawns with the most HP than any other material. If you are fighting, it would be best to use brick, as wood is too weak and metal is way too difficult to refarm. By failing to plan, you are planning to fail. This is why all pros have pre-game strategies before they even practice, let alone play tournaments. To do this, you simply just need to plan your drop spot along with having a drop map and looting route. These are both very easy to make and only take a couple of hours dedication from you and your duo, so do not go into another tournament without having a plan for your off spawn. The only way to improve is by working on your mistakes. This is why all pros watch themselves back. If you're a decent player, you'll be able to watch yourself and be able to identify the mistakes, therefore knowing what you should have done in a given situation. Watching yourself can be much more useful than watching other pros because you know the entire context of the game, such as comms, previous rotations, and your overall game strategy / play style. Like I said, if you're already on a good level, you will know what you should have done and be able to work on this. One thing I guarantee you need to work on is aiming for the chest. That's right, when tracking players, stop aiming for the head and start aiming for the chest. This is the largest area on the hitbox, and the way Bloom works in Fortnite, it is so important you continuously aim for the chest to ensure you're hitting as many shots as physically possible. Using exploits such as jumping into a box with a stair behind you or walking straight into the wall with perfect timing is something I know most of you already know how to do. But pros will never fail these exploits, which is why you need to learn to master these so you're successful 99% of the time. This can be done by heading into creative with a friend and just practicing these until you are doing them more often than you are failing them. Absolutely everyone watching this video is capable of phasing builds, but a lot of you aren't doing it. If you were to phase either a ramp or a cone into your opponent's box, most players' response would be to make new boxes, to either side or below them. Knowing this, you can pre-piece these areas and close out your elimination much quicker. You need to learn this skill because in doing so, it will allow you to end your fights so much quicker. When pressuring players' walls, stop doing this from directly in front of them. Instead, you need to start doing this from a box diagonal to your opponent. This way, it makes it impossible for them to full box you, especially if you have an edited wall pre-placed in between you and your opponent's box. This also helps you to fight players who just run out hoping to eliminate you. Literally all pros use blueprint edits, and you need to learn how to master this skill. Editing builds with your blueprint out allows you to edit from nearly double the distance away compared to holding out your weapon or your pickaxe. You can practice these so easily by going into a creative map by yourself and just getting used to doing them on a consistent basis. Dealing heavy amounts of damage to your opponent while they don't even know where you are is so overpowered. This is why you need to start using sneak plays. This is especially useful in off-spawn scenarios where you are able to predict your opponent's loot routes and rotations. Make as little noise as possible and aim to catch them off guard with a heavy shot or even an instant elimination. If you learn to do this effectively, you'll give yourself a massive advantage as you enter engagements. Making your enemies stressed is the secret to winning more fights. So applying pressure correctly is extremely important. Pros know exactly when to use their pickaxe and when to use a weapon to apply pressure, as well as being able to switch between the two effectively. If you are the type of player that reloads with many bullets remaining in your mag while your opponent heals, you need to work on this. Chances are you need to work on pressuring more to master this. When you get hit hard by an enemy, stop playing too defensive. Like all the best pros, you need to learn to do damage while you are weak. Using peaks and pre-fires are two great examples of ways to damage your enemies while on the defensive. If you cannot learn to deal damage in these scenarios, you will lose so many more fights than you otherwise would. Making sure you give yourself every possible chance of playing to your full potential is so important. This is why all pros warm up before a day of practice or tournaments, and you should too. When you play without warming up, you are more likely to make simple mistakes. This will also cause you to miss opportunities such as securing eliminations or escaping boxes by not failing edits. Make sure you have some type of warm-up, as this will make your gameplay 10 times better. In the top right is a warm-up routine pros use. You can check this out and even copy it exactly. Pressure is something most pros do not feel, with the exception of major LAN events. Your aim is to get to a stage where you no longer feel pressure while playing in tournaments. In order to do this, you have to make sure you adapt to the mindset of all pros, which is that nobody else cares about how you do. You need to focus on yourself and nobody else, because that's what the pro players do. Trust me, no one else has the time to worry about how you are doing in tournaments. They are too busy trying to do well for themselves, so you need to do the same. Every pro has incredible confidence levels because they know they are the best. You can develop confidence over time. One way you can do this is by always trying to fight players that are better than you, in creative for example, and in-game when possible. It shows a great mindset if you're always wanting to come up against better players than yourself. Players like this are much more likely to improve both their ability and their confidence on fighting better players. Do you ever see pros standing still while fighting? No. This is because they are always being a moving target to ensure they are harder to hit. This comes down to their advanced levels of movement and never allowing themselves to be an easy target. To improve your movement, you could play Forever Zone Wars. If you can get used to moving around and the consistent pressure of an environment like this, you will naturally become much better movement-wise in no time, making you a harder target to hit. If you do not have a cone or a ramp in your box when boxed up, you will be punished against any average player. This is why you will always see the pros place a cone inside their box straight away, meaning that your opponent cannot phase their own builds into your box, which would then force you to have to rebox and move around, wasting even more materials than the 10 mats that you would have needed on that single cone. A lot of the pro players use perfectly legal gaming enhancing software to improve their ping, FPS and delay. This can massively help to reduce your ping and improve connection to the server. So if these are issues for you, then consider using something called exit lag. You can get a free trial to see how the real difference is. I'll leave a link in the description for you to check this out. Editing your builds, then instantly resetting it will bait your opponent into shooting the wall so it breaks, allowing you to get a free shot off on them. This is called instant edit resets, and all the top pros use this technique both when playing offensively and defensively. You can practice this skill in creative by getting used to the mechanic of editing, then resetting instantly. If you master this, you'll find yourself dominating a lot more fights. The final thing pros do is they never double swing on walls. This basically means swinging their pickaxe twice when pressuring an opponent. Doing this can allow you to get edited on while being caught with your pickaxe out, meaning you do not have the time to react and they have a free shot to deal damage or even potentially eliminate you.